you're ready to stop playing small and own your story, then this is where you belong. The Unstoppable Network is where the overcoming stories are getting very loud. From veterans to survivors to trailblazers, sharing their story of turning their pain into power. Welcome to the Unstoppable Network, where we turn your mess into a message.
Welcome to another episode of the Unstoppable Network. I'm your host, Dorothy Odell. Well, we are waiting for our guest. I'm not sure. She may have had a client and she could be with them. But anyways, there's a couple things I wanted to talk about anyways. So maybe this was God's way of saying, hey, get this out. So I'm not sure if anybody here remembers that we put on a golf tournament each year. That golf tournament is coming up. It is August 8th and at the Tilbury Golf Course here in Tilbury, Ontario. And it is only $400 for a foursome up until July 20th. And then the price, does increase to $500. With that being said, there is going to be some amazing prizes. We have the $10,000 hole-in-one prize again this year for amateur golfers only. And so that means if you get the hole-in-one on hole 16, then you win the $10,000 prize. And this year, we are extremely blessed to have Terry Vogler Trucking, TVT out in Thamesville. So for all your trucking needs, get a hold of TVT. Funny story, I used to work for Terry a long time ago. Great guy, great family. Now his daughters are running the company. So so if any reefer work that you need done, give him a shout out. So there's that. And then so we want to thank him. We really want to thank our sponsors, Late Night Talks on Air with Nancy Duffy. She has come back again this year, so we are truly blessed. So thank you. We have a new table sponsor this year, Blue Forest Environmental Development. Go check them out. We have IG Wealth Management. And just that came on this week. I haven't had a chance to download their logos on here, but it is Sydney Lewis, as well as her husband with Lally Chavold. So if you have any relative needs, let us know. We will have all their information in the show notes once I get this uploaded. So incredible. We have some incredible gifts. We have a 60-ouncer somebody has donated. We have some door prizes, just golf gadgets and things like that. We have some beautiful lotions and stuff from Femme Fatale. So thank you so much, Natalie, for those generous contributions. We also have, I believe we have a Scentsy gift card coming from Ashley. So a lot of great prizes again this year. And there's still more to come. I mean, I'm still out here working it. So as I'm doing that though, I for the women out there that are getting older, let's just put it that way, coming up this Sunday will be my 50th birthday. And I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. It's the new chapter in life. It's where, I've already set up a lot of boundaries lately. I've already set up, things I'm not willing to tolerate. I keep seeing all these memes and these videos around menopause and women with menopause. It's just like, we finally get to a place in our lives, we've taken care of the kids, our families, and now it's our turn, right? And so we used to have filters, but our hormones have shifted. It's really freaking crazy out there. If you're just tuning in, let us know where you're listening in from. I think our guest is going to show up here. She just texted me, so that's great. Can't wait for Angela to come on. But anyways, if you are a woman and going through that change of life, let me know. And I just around my birthday, I always do a lot of reflection, right? What has worked for me the past year, what hasn't worked for me the past year, and I just there's a lot of things that are changing. Like I really don't have any tolerance for a lot of different things anymore. And so it's been a lot of medical tests up to this point and all that, and finally get to see a specialist coming up at closer to the end of July. So good. But anyways, it's just one of those things. And as I reflect, as this time is coming up, it can sometimes, I'm not going to say it's scary, but it's just a lot that you're not willing to put up with anymore. Let's just put it that way. And it's just a lot of, what is it that you want? Like I said, we've done a lot for others, and now it's our turn. And stepping into that area of life where you're like, okay, this is like I'm closer to the end than I am the beginning, right? And that in itself it scares some people, but for me, I find that exciting because I've done a lot in my life, and oh, cool, we have our guest, Angie. Welcome.
Hello, thank you
Welcome to
so
the
much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I wasn't sure if Dr. J would be able to join us tonight. I never did hear back from her, but I know she's been busy.
Yeah.
So, but I want to hear all about you. So I'm trying to remember because you didn't fill a lot out in your bio. Are you a veteran or do you work with veterans?
I'm a veteran of the Air Force. I had worked with veterans for years in the federal sector, went out on my own recently, and I continue to work with veterans and military with their trauma.
Well, thank you so much for your service. Thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I know Dr. J said, you got to get this woman on. She's such a badass. You got to listen to her story. So, what made you decide to go into the military?
Okay, so listen, the military was not on my radar. I was with some friends in high school just before the bell had rang, and they were all going in the opposite direction. And I was like, hey, where are we going? We're going to take the ASVAB test. It's 4 hours long. I was like, get out of class for 4 hours? Cool. And I took it, and I scored so high on it that the recruiters were chasing me. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this could be a good thing. And so I went. I was initially going to the Navy, and then I talked to my uncle, who was also my godfather, God rest his soul, and he had retired from the Air Force after serving 20 years, and he told me about his service and his experiences and why he thinks it's the better branch to join, and so that's where I joined.
Oh, awesome. It's funny because generally when I interview somebody, they say, oh, well, I joined because my friends dragged me there. And I wanted to go for schooling, get the free schooling. But it's really not free. And you did it to get out of class for 4 hours. I love that. And so
Yeah.
how long were you in the military?
I went in to retire. I wanted to get commissioned, and I immediately started working on my degree. I was 2 credit hours away from an associate's, and then wanted to apply to OTS, Officer Training School. I had clept in Dante's tested most of my credits. I didn't even have to necessarily go to class for that. And then I was raped by a coworker, and I began to see the military differently. And I decided not to stay. So I did 4 years.
Wow, I am so sorry that happened to you. Um,
Thank you.
wow. That definitely would have been traumatic. I can't even imagine. And so what did you do after leaving the military?
So I figured that, okay, so maybe the military is not a part of my path to success in the end. You know, maybe I could just use my benefits to go ahead and get some degrees, get educated, you know, and make a good living for my family. So then I went back to Illinois in order to use my Illinois Veterans Grant, which was free college for 4 years. So I did that, and also used my GI Bill. And then for my master's, I was able to use what is now called VR&D, but it was Voc Rehab back then, to assist me with getting my master's degree. And so I did get degrees, and I felt like, you know, maybe I could, once I learned what the VA was, I felt like maybe then I could help people like me that had experienced things in the military. And the longer I worked in the federal sector, boy, the more I learned about experiences in the military and what is needed by military and military veterans.
Right. Wow. You know, I hear so much, excuse me, with interviewing veterans about the VA. And sorry, this is twice now I've done an interview and I'm choking to death on the air here. But
It's okay. Get it out.
and but so you give the positive experience to the VA, because I know that I've hear a lot of negative, but I know that you are the type of person that, you know, whatever you can do to help somebody, you know, you're right there with them. Um, so you're also a licensed therapist. So
Mhm.
do you work with Dr. J as well?
You said, do I work with Dr. J?
Yeah, at Semper
Oh,
Modus, or do you have your own business?
well, I have my own practice, and I contract at times with other businesses to work with them, but mainly my own private practice. And I just know her as another therapist, and we send and receive referrals, you know, for needs that we don't cover. So she's a
Right.
good resource to have, a great resource for our veterans and military. And then the fact that she's a veteran as well. I think it's great to have a network of veteran providers that have lived it for at least a time, even as a military spouse or child. You know what that life is like, from one perspective or another. So she's been very helpful.
She is amazing. I mean, that woman is so
Yes.
well connected. I don't know. There's probably the list of people she doesn't know is probably shorter
Yes. Yes.
than you know. And um, great, great person to have in your corner. Have you ever
Hmm.
heard of the organization called Shield of Sisters?
Never.
No. Okay. So I know her, the lady that is the founder. Her name is Shannon, I believe, and I've been trying to get her on the show, but she um, also experienced MST as well. And now Shield of Sisters is an organization that helps mainly women that have been abused, but also men as well, because I mean, I know it affects both sexes. But I know she's on LinkedIn for sure. Um, the organization and then herself. I want to say Morrison is her last name, but I know that's not right. I know Shannon's her first name though. Maybe I can even try and connect you on LinkedIn too. But
Okay. Yes,
it
please.
just came to me to connect you because I know what you do and what she does can help a lot of people. Like she's the voice,
Hmm.
about helping women getting help and men, and then maybe I'm sure there's a circle of therapists that could definitely be used by her organization. I don't know how they go about that, but it just came to me that I should, at least mention it to you.
Yes, thank you. I never heard of that, but I will look that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
So do you currently reside in Illinois now?
no, I'm currently in Virginia. Uh, that's where I live.
Oh,
I My path is one I didn't necessarily plan out. Uh, when that when I experienced that in the military, like I said, he was a coworker. We worked together every day, and I got up the next morning and I went back to work because that's all that I knew to do, and I was afraid that me telling, would cause me more problems.
mhm.
And I just kept it to myself, but I began to crumble from the inside out. I didn't do well. I um, I eventually just left the military and began to develop signs and symptoms of what I now know is PTSD as a result of that. And so, even though the VBA will not acknowledge my MST because it wasn't reported, there's no record of it, and those things, um, they have finally acknowledged the fact that that is what I experienced. Um, or rather, those are the symptoms that I have. That's what I want to say. But they won't acknowledge that it came directly from MST. Um, but I didn't know what I was struggling with or why. I just knew what I felt at the time.
Right.
So I just want to help. My goal once I came through that, and I continue to work through that, was to just be able to help other people like me. And so I went into into the VA, but I found that the VA has its issues. Our VA here in Hampton, the executive directors have been before Congress 1 to 2 times. We still don't have a permanent executive director. Um, the executive director was demoted. The chief of staff was demoted. The chief of surgery was demoted. Uh, it's a toxic place to work, in my experience. And that's the third VA that I was at. The second VA is back home, the Marion, Illinois VA, that is known to be run like the mafia, very racist. A lot of us, people of color, can't get a job there. I got mine because I did my interview by phone and I changed my voice. That's the VA that I know. Then
Wow.
the first VA that I worked at was in Poplar Bluff, where I was referred to as the N word behind my back for the duration that I worked there.
That's
So,
disgusting.
yes,
And they're
the,
supposed to be helping people.
mhm, these are the
Wow.
VAs that I know. And I found it
Right.
interesting that when the VA here in Hampton was going through what it was going through, one of the uh, senators or representatives from Illinois was on that VA board, VA Oversight Committee. That's what it was called. Bosch is his name. And I'm thinking, with all the issues that we have at our VA, you're here focusing on Virginia, on another state. but you've done nothing to fix the issues at our VA. I guess it's okay for them to treat us like we're less than. When we get our degrees, we can't expect to work there. We can't. Only the white social workers, the females mainly, but only the white social workers can expect to get a job there. So these are my experiences, and these are areas of the military and the VA that I'm hoping will change, or that maybe I can have some type of positive change when it comes to them.
Right. Yeah, that definitely is not a great experience, and I'm sorry that you experienced that. There's just so many different stories that I've heard about different VAs, like for across from Kentucky to Florida, and I'm just, I guess, shocked that a government agency would be that ignorant. Um, I don't know of any other better word that is, how shall I say, politically correct in that. And wow. I guess we shouldn't be shocked, but I mean, but seriously, like, there's no need for that, especially in this day and age. You know, we figured that all that has ended, should have ended decades ago. It's unfortunate that that still happens.
Yeah, it truly does. But, the first step, I think, is speaking out about it. And I don't see where anyone has. So they're allowed to just continue engaging this way. So the least that I can do is talk about it and bring some attention to it. And then we'll see where it goes from there.
Right, right. So, would you say that your experience in the military with the MST has led you to becoming a licensed therapist?
Most definitely. It helped me to decide that this is what I wanted to do. My experiences as a child, having experienced abuse, those were the first. And then having experienced that in the military kind of fine-tuned it, helped me to decide that I didn't want to just help survivors of abuse, but if I could help the veteran and military population, that I do that. So yes.
Right. And how long have you been a therapist?
Well, I started, I graduated that Saturday and I started that Monday. So 2006 until now, 20 years.
20
Yeah.
years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What would you say has been um, your greatest moment, I guess, while helping others?
Is seeing them realize that they can get better, that you don't have to stay that way, that this is not just the new normal, that if you're willing to do the work and really give therapy a go, then you can see some positive change. We always recommend therapy and medication together. That's how you get the best result in treatment. But even if you don't want, one or the other, it's your choice. It's your treatment and it's your choice.
Right. Oh, wow. And what would you say, looking back now, on your own experience and the people that you've helped within your practice, if somebody was to come to you today that said that they had just experienced what you experienced being raped in the military, would you say that to encourage them to speak up about that and to report it?
Most definitely. Only if they're comfortable with it. Your experience is your own. I know what it feels like to be afraid. And so if they ultimately say, I'm just not comfortable with it, then that is the answer. You know what I mean? But I
Right.
would really recommend them to report it or at least get seen for it so that it's somewhere in their record, and so that they won't have such a hard time years later when they need to get acknowledged for this experience, for this event, for the trauma, for everything that comes with it, because it will likely come in some form or another. You
Right.
need to have record of it somewhere officially.
I've heard from several different people that I've interviewed over the years, and they always say, not always, but majority of them say that they never reported their injuries, and most of them were, um, I wouldn't say most of the mental health injuries, but the the injuries that they sustained or what they've seen when they were in combat or military sexual trauma, they were either afraid to, tell them that. But then years later, especially when you need it, like say you're 20 years into
Mhm.
your military career, and this, that, and the other thing are going, like your back's gone, your hips are gone, and because you didn't report those injuries along the way, there's no record. So guys and women, if there is, and I think this also applies in the civilian workplace too.
Mhm.
Like if something happens, report
Yes.
it, get it down on paper, no matter how traumatizing it originally is, because eventually you will need that backup. I know with different stories that I've heard experience with the VA. If when you retire, you get a certain percentage, but then if over the years, the injuries, I guess, stacked up, for lack of a better word, your rating would be higher. So
Mhm.
you get more of your pension, and rightfully so. And a lot of people say, well, I was just doing my job. But
Mhm.
when somebody signs on the dotted line in the military, it's different than the civilian life, because you signed up for to put your lives on the line, whether you actually go to combat or not, it doesn't matter. The thing of it is, at
Mhm.
any time, you could have experienced that. And so I know a lot of people say for other experiences, they just didn't feel that they should have been compensated for it. However, I hear time and time again different stories of where, if they would have, then they wouldn't be fighting 20 years down the road for the benefits that they so deserve.
Mhm. That's true. It's true because if it's not on paper, if it's not in your records, if it's not somewhere officially, then it didn't happen. So
Right.
the bottom line is that there has to be some record of it, or you're not going to get very far trying to get some type of compensation for that. It's not gonna happen. So I encourage everyone, at least in the last year of service, to go ahead and make sure you're seen at least once for every issue that you have, physical and mental/emotional. Get seen. And before you go get a copy of your records, go through that copy and make sure that everything is in there that you need.
Right. That is great advice and great advice. I hope somebody out there is
Yeah.
listening to that advice. Um, if not now, on the replay, anyways. Um, where is the best place that people could reach you at, Angie?
Well, gosh, I do have an email address um, that they can contact me at positivechangetherapy@outlook.com, and just hit me up there. I'm on it just about every day, checking it. If you have any questions, concerns, I'm also on Psychology Today if you'd like to see my profile,
Okay.
or if you're interested in getting treatment through me and you want to know what types of insurance that I accept. It's all listed there.
Okay. Gee, I'll have to go get a call. I'll have to go search that and get that, just so that I can put it in the show notes as well for our listeners. Is there anything that you would want any advice that you would give anybody right now, whether they're experiencing anybody that has been in the military, still active duty, or who has retired or is now currently a veteran?
A lot of times people don't come into treatment. There's a fear of treatment, there's a fear of stigma surrounding treatment. They don't know what to expect. They don't want people to think that they are crazy. It's harder to go on living a life not totally well. The treatment is there. The opportunities are available. All it takes is for you to make that first step. Take the first step and go from there. Follow the rest. I promise that if you give it a true chance, that you won't be disappointed, that you get into therapy and you open up about what it is that you're struggling with, what it is that you've experienced. There's more struggles to the military than sexual trauma. You could have had a crappy supervisor that would have made your entire stay at that duty station hell and affected even your home life because you were hardly there. There's several things. There's racism, there's sexism, there's lots of challenges, but there's help for these things. You don't have to live with the pain of it for the rest of your life. Get the help that you need. Reach out, talk to someone, and give yourself a chance at living better and having a better experience of life. That's what I would say.
That great word to live by. Instead of being in survival mode, thrive instead of survive. that's
Yes.
uh that's great. That that's I think a lot of us just stay stuck in that rut. Like, we don't know
Mm-hmm.
how to change it. We don't not necessarily know where to turn to.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, there's still the stigma around, getting help. And I truly believe that everybody should experience some form of therapy in their life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, I've had several different kinds, I'm not going to lie. And each one helped in its own way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I just think, people should, instead of being stuck, instead of just being miserable all the time, or thinking like you have to deal with it, like
Mm-hmm.
I hate the term just suck it up. If I freaking hear that one more time in any situation, I think I will
Mm-hmm.
probably just lose my mind, because I mean, people nowadays, the things of just sucking it up are no longer right. And
Right.
then then you just suppress it. As someone who suppressed her emotions for years until I just couldn't do it anymore. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like a volcano. I don't know if you've
Yes.
ever experienced that. You just bottle it up, and then it's like the geyser opens up in the world.
Yes.
The world's ending.
It was
um,
bad.
but or I said this I think a couple episodes ago, where um, you get so angry, it's like an out of body experience. I've
Mm-hmm.
experienced that 3 times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not fun. And it's like you can't control yourself.
No.
Now, keep in mind, it's been a long time since that has happened
Mm-hmm.
to me, but it's unexplainable. And you try to describe you're yelling at somebody, but it's like you're not even there. You don't even know what you said
Mm-hmm.
until you're just done,
Yes.
and then you're so tired.
Yes. It's like you collapse because
That's
you
how.
exerted so much energy
Yeah,
doing that. Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
I know exactly what
But
you're
yet, it
referring
probably would
to.
have been easier just to get help.
Yeah. I understand that.
And I'd have, and that's why I have not experienced that something like that in, I would say, close to about 7 years. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but and it's funny because it's what you think will trigger you is not really what will trigger you. It will be like
Mm-hmm.
letting everything go until something very small is said to you or done to you, and that's when you just like boom, you just lose it.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you don't deal with your shit, quite frankly, pardon my French. But
Mm-hmm.
um, it's you just think, oh, you can handle it, and until
Yeah.
you can't. And so that's, reach out now before it's too late, is what I always say. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely connect with Angie. I have put your email in the comments. So go check out, go have a message with Angie and see if she's a good fit. I'm sure she probably is. You sound like an amazing lady, Angie. Um,
Thank you. I
that,
just, a lot of people find that I'm one of the most down to earth uh, therapists that they've met. I just believe in being real. I don't do the whole, how does that make you feel? It pisses me off. That's what it does when you ask me that. So um, I'm very down to earth. I'm very realistic, very reasonable. You mentioned people being stuck, and what came to mind for me was stuck points. I'm certified also in CPT for PTSD, which is cognitive processing therapy for PTSD. And part of what we help you work through are your stuck points, parts of your trauma that have you stuck, the buts and the what ifs and I shouldas and I couldas. And we work through those and help you to process those. So, yes, things that have you stuck.
do you think that people like, okay, so I'm just going to give a what if scenario.
Mm-hmm,
And say somebody has, you know, gone gone through um different traumatic events like losing family members and things like that on top of um the everyday work stresses, because let's face it, work can be stressful no matter where you work.
mm-hmm,
At times, I'm not saying all the time, but at times. So
mm-hmm.
I like to say it's the shit stacking of life. So you got a busy work schedule, home life is chaotic, you experience a traumatic death in your family, and it's
Yes,
just like one thing after the other. And I forget where I was going with this. Sorry, the menopause era has hit. um,
I feel
and
you.
and it's it's funny because just before you come on, I was thinking of things to say to our guest before you arrived, and I was speaking about my menopause era. I'll
Uh-huh.
be 50 this Sunday, and I'm thinking, this is the era where the women were shedding our should have, would have, could have. Probably getting back to what you were saying on that. And okay, so say somebody feels stuck in their life. What would
Mm-hmm.
be, so they've gone through all these traumatic events, but yet they want to do something better with their lives, but they don't have it in them to get to that step that they want, like maybe starting a business or stuff like that. What would you do for that kind of patient?
I would work with them on what it is that's stopping them. You have to get to the root of the problem. Um, there's a reason why they're not getting there. That's what you've got to work with them to get to. And you start at the very top and get all the way to the bottom. It could take weeks or months. It may take a year, even, depending on what it is. But in the end, they'll find that they know what that is. And then you help them to get past that because there's something there that's stopping them from feeling comfortable moving forward. There's a reason. It sounds a little bit like anxiety to me, but you don't know fully until you do the work with them.
Right, right, cool. And because it's I've experienced bits of this throughout my life. It's just like, well, life actually is a roller coaster. And anybody who thinks life is a straight line is
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, you could be fine one moment and the next something, you feel like you can't do it. And it's just learn, you know, doing different things that help, and obviously connecting with you, Angie, would be one of them. Um, and pressing through, like sometimes that's what you have to do, but sometimes you just need the rest.
Yes. That's a
So,
big part of
all
us being
right.
able
Well,
to
I
rest.
appreciate you so much for coming on here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Have you ever felt guilty for rest? Absolutely.
I'm
There must
sorry
be
you
like a
cut
lag in
out.
this. I apologize. My internet must be going in and out.
Yes, but I can hear you
Sorry
now.
about
What did you
that.
say?
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Can you
I
hear me
can.
now, Angie?
Yes.
Okay, great. Um, like I said, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom here. Is there any last words that you would like to leave with our guests?
Um, as I go and I grow, I find that we're allowed to experience certain things because it helps to define who we are and it helps to set our path. Um, so just take life as a lesson and roll with it because you never know where it's going to take you. Not every bad thing is to your demise, is what I'm saying. Are you there? Okay. She there? Hello?
That.
Can you hear me okay?
Sorry, guys.
It's cutting out. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go. Thank you for having me.
All right, folks. Sorry, we lost Angie. We lost the connection here. I'm not sure what's going on here, but just want to say thank you for joining us tonight, and we appreciate you. We appreciate Angie and her wisdom, and I'm not sure if we get her back, but I just want to say thank you for those of you that have joined us, and if you can join us for this year's Don Gray Memorial Fun Classic, which is August 8th. Go check out our amazing, our amazing sponsors out on our website. Our website is www.unstoppableovercomers.com. Thank you for joining us tonight, and share this message of hope and inspiration and never giving up with your people. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Unstoppable Network, and see you same time, same channel next week. Bye for now.